Welcome to Bridging the Gap. My name's Briston Lowry, and I've practiced Jiu-Jitsu both as a traditional martial art and a combat sport for well over 20 years. I was introduced to the art in the Army and never looked back. I've had many amazing instructors along the way, highly skilled in their respective arts. In this series, it is my goal to bridge the gap between Jiu-Jitsu as a traditional martial art and Jiu-Jitsu as practiced as a combat sport. In our first episode, we'll be doing a technical exploration of Ude Shigarami. Traditional Jiu-Jitsu, as practiced by the samurai, was battlefield wrestling. The point was to break the joint and disengage. The original Jiu-Jitsu was not intended for prolonged ground fighting. They would either break the joint on the way down or gain control on the ground and break the joint. So the strategy here is to immobilize your enemy and get back to your feet so as you're not an easy target for his allies on the battlefield. These standing joint locks require a great deal of skill to pull off in the area of timing. Unfortunately, this has led many sport jiu-jitsu practitioners to be outright dismissive of these techniques. I enter in to intercept the punch and guide the elbow between us, getting him high on his toes, making it easier for the foot sweep. From here, I step over the torso and twist to get the bent arm lock. Here we will observe the same technique from a more modern style of punch. You can expect to see this approach in jiu-jitsu dojos that teach the self-defense applications. Here is the same technique, but instead of using a foot sweep, I step behind for an osotogari takedown. The underlying principle of jiu-jitsu isn't to meet force with force, but either get out of its way or redirect it. In this technique, you can see that principle at play. When he throws his punch, I enter in, not stopping his punch, but redirecting his arm under my armpit to apply the joint lock. This being the self-defense version of the technique, you'll see me apply punches on the ground. This is meant to stun or immobilize my attacker so I can disengage and avoid any hidden weapons or allies. Here you will see the same technique utilized in Jiu-Jitsu as practiced as a combat sport. Jiu-Jitsu, the combat sport, should be viewed under the lens of a duel. This is a duel between two martial artists that have agreed upon a certain set of rules. The main one being allowing my opponent the opportunity to tap out. Demonstrating that type of control over your movements requires a great deal of skill, and unfortunately many traditional jiu-jitsu practitioners are dismissive of sport jiu-jitsu. It has been my experience that practicing sport jiu-jitsu has made me much better at utilizing jiu-jitsu in a self-defense context. This is the same technique applied from butterfly guard. Mayuki dips his shoulder and twists in order to relieve the pressure, and I utilize that to sweep him over and trap him in this technical mount, and I apply the bent arm lock. Here, Ude Shigarami is used on me from an overhook guard. When I attempted to pull my arm out, that's when Mayuki trapped my elbow and rotated it in front of his chest. The same technique and the same principles are at play here, be it traditional jujutsu or jujutsu as a combat sport. The only difference, in my view, is their strategy. Thank you for watching.